She has decades of experience and dozens of controversies, but the question remains, who is Hillary Clinton? Here is David Wright.
So let's be stronger together, my fellow Americans.
Breaking glass ceilings has meant plenty of cuts and bruises for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Her ambition, never a secret. Her skill set, never in doubt.
There has never been a man or a woman more qualified than Hillary Clinton.
And yet, getting to this historic moment hasn't been easy.
One of the real problems with Hillary Clinton is that she's sort of a hostage of her history, in that because the press never gives her the benefit of the doubt, she's always on her guard.
She has the highest negatives of any Democratic frontrunner in modern times. Her fate was tied to her husband's in those early years. In their first 60 Minutes interview back in '92, his past infidelities threatened to derail his campaign early on. She defended him.
You know, I'm not sitting here as some little woman standing by my man like Tammy Wynette.
Tammy Wynette herself was furious at that quote, telling reporters, "Nowhere in that song did I say be a doormat." Hillary Clinton has a wealth of experience. 8 years as First Lady, 8 years in the Senate, 4 years as Secretary of State. But the flip side, some say she's the ultimate insider. It's an impression the Democrats sought to counter this week.
She is still the best darn change maker I have ever known.
She's been in the trenches for years, fighting for women's rights in Beijing.
If there is one message that echoes forth from this conference, let it be that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
Fighting Republicans over Benghazi.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator.
Even her former rivals admire her endurance.
And no matter how daunting the odds, no matter how much people try to knock her down, she never, ever quits.
But the flip side of that resilience is a certain amount of defensiveness. Nearly 20 years ago, she had this to say about the Republicans.
The great story here is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
More recently on 60 Minutes, she insisted she's held to a higher standard.
I often feel like there's the Hillary standard, and then there's a standard for everybody else.
What's the Hillary standard?
Well, it is unfounded, inaccurate, mean-spirited attacks with no basis in truth, reality, which take on a life of their own.
That may explain, but not excuse, why she broke State Department rules and set up a private email server for her government business.
Looking back, it would have been better for me to use 2 separate phones and 2 email accounts. I thought using one device would be simpler, and obviously it hasn't worked out that way.
The fact that Clinton is a woman should be a plus in a country where more than half the voters are women, many of whom rightly believe it's high time for the U.S. to follow the example of other nations, Britain, Germany, Israel, India, Pakistan, and many others, trusting the top job to a woman. But nearly half of American women view Clinton unfavorably. 48%.
There is a hesitancy around women candidates. It's still there, and part of it is that you have to put yourself forward, and women find that somewhat hard to take. We were all raised that you're not supposed to toot your own horn.
There's no question she's been subjected to a different level of scrutiny than most male politicians. Her every hairstyle, every pantsuit dissected for 25 years. Her shifting style almost a metaphor for the way she has shifted some of her policy positions over the years. Ever the realist.
Hello.
It's made endless fodder for parody on Saturday Night Live.
Okay, now hold up your phone and you can just look natural.
The candidate who wants so badly to be liked, some say she comes across as unlikable.
Citizens, you will elect me. I will be your leader.
One thing that happens is, she says, is when she's running for office, people don't like her. When she's in office, people do.
Back in 2008, Clinton played down her femininity, emphasizing her toughness instead.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. But there's a phone in the White House and it's ringing. Your vote will decide who answers that call.
Her former campaign advisor, Lisa Caputo, says Hillary Clinton learned a lot during that campaign.
She's not made those same mistakes this time around, and I think she has a more disciplined message now.
She's highlighted her role as a mother and grandmother. Hillary Clinton is hoping to make history. Tonight she did.
When there are no ceilings, the sky's the limit.
But there's still one more crack she's hoping to make in that glass ceiling. I'm David Wright for Nightline in New York.